Hi guys, how are you all today evening? Good evening. Today, while I was thinking about various things in spiritualism, my thoughts went towards a very interesting fact. I found that in our scriptures and our religious books, etc., the flower lotus has a significant place. Lord Vishnu's navel had a stem rising from it, at the top of which was a lotus, and Lord Brahma sat on that lotus. Similarly, in our Kundalini, the seventh and the final and spiritual chakra called Sahasrara chakra is a thousand petaled lotus placed at the center of the cranium, in which we have to concentrate on the topmost of all yoga called Bhakti Yoga to activate this Sahasrara chakra or thousand petaled lotus chakra. Now, in Bhagavad Gita also, it is mentioned that a living entity who is interested in self realization, who becomes a wise sage, lives in this material world like a drop of water on a stem, a leaf, or the flower of a lotus, that is completely detached. It means that when the water falls out of or off the leaf of a lotus or a flower petal of a lotus, it does not leave even a small drop of this water on the lotus. That means that the drop of water which was sitting at the top of a lotus flower leaf or a stem or the petal is not at all attached to the lotus when it falls off. Similarly, a sage, a living entity who is interested in self-realization, a renunciant, etc., should live in this material world like that particular drop of ocean. Now, interestingly, if you see a lotus flower, it usually blooms in a swamp. A swamp is so muddy and dirty that if you step into the swamp, your legs will either drown or get dirty. But this lotus, which is very, very clean, holy, and spiritual, blooms only in that swamp. In that swamp, some seed of a lotus begins blooming and a stem appears. This stem is meant to go inside the swamp and take out pure distilled water to nourish this lotus flower and its leaves. Once the lotus flower blooms, it is carefully picked up by professionals and placed in temples. How can such a flower which bloomed in a swamp, a dirty swamp, be used as a holy flower in the temples? It means that this particular flower and its leaves, though they bloomed in the swamp, in the dirty mud, are not attached to the dirty mud or its water. Its pure distilled water was only used to nourish that leaf and the flower. That means that we should live in the dirty material, miserable world like a lotus flower. We live here, we allow the water, the pure distilled water, or the pure food in this dirty material world to be to nourish our mind body complex, but we don't allow our mind and our intelligence to get attached to this dirty material world which is a swamp. That is the idea behind having a lotus flower. Just like a lotus flower, a living entity must live in this swamp of material world and allow his mind and his or her intelligence to concentrate on God, self realization, liberation, deliverance, Brahman, and ultimately to go back to Godhead. That is the lesson we receive from the life of a lotus flower. Just like a lotus flower, we have to be holy. We may be born in this dirty swamp of material world, but except for using it to nourish our intelligence, mind, and body, we should not get attached to this dirt. We should use our lives to worship on God, to get into nirvikalpa samadhi, to think about God, get self-realized, and ultimately go back to God. Please let me know what you think of my talk on the lotus flower. If you sincerely feel that what I am talking is making sense, then kindly subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon so that I can inform you of my other videos. Please pardon me for my appearance or error, mistake and blunder in my diction, spelling, grammar, etc. Because when I'm talking to you on serious spiritual and material matters, I tend to ignore these unnecessary things. Till we meet next time in my next video, it is good evening from TSV Raghavan.